Hello and welcome to another painting video. In this video I'll be painting Lord Invocatus of the World Eaters. This named character looks very cool, all demon possessed on his Juggernaut. I wanted to do something a little bit different with his armor, going for a more demon red look. The Dreadnought on the base I printed and cut off an entire portion to turn it into a scenic base. Let's begin, shall we? As you can see here, I primed the model black, but I want to keep the Juggernaut as black as possible, hence the aluminum foil. Because I'm working with contrast paints, I need some contrast. I spray Ash Grey from Army Painter as a zenithal. To add some texture on the armor, I stipple on a mix of Flesh Terror Red, Cygor Brown and Contrast Medium, just like I did on my Berserkers. I use a clean brush with some Contrast Medium to smear out the bloody mixture. I repeat the previous step, but now with a mix of Flesh Terror Red and Contrast Medium. With the airbrush, I spray Blood Angel Red from top down on the model. This gives a nice bright red armor. From the bottom, I spray Flesh Terror Red on the model. This shades the armor in a very nice dark red. This also gives the armor a nice gradient from bright red to dark. With Sanguine Scarlet, I'm going to highlight the armor, especially the helmet. I'm keeping it red so it looks more demonic. I highlight again with a mix of Sanguine Scarlet and Demon Red. I'm slowly building up the highlights with pure Demon Red. As this is a character model, it's fun to just go all out with stuff like this. And in the end, I highlight with a mix of Demon Red and Dorn Yellow to really make that red armor pop. Now, okay, the armor doesn't really pop yet, but that's because there are a lot of details left unpainted. Let's take a look at his exposed skin next. I first base coat the skin with Rekarth Flesh. Shade it with Targor Rage Shade. This shade is such a step up from Druchii Violet. I can definitely recommend you get this shade for your painting collection. I bring back Rekarth Flesh on the raised areas of the skin, leaving the shade in the recesses. I layer on a mix of Rekarth Flesh and Palace Wish Flesh, and highlight the skin with Palace Wish Flesh. See, this already looks a lot more interesting. It's kind of weird why his midriff is exposed, but I guess it's a phase he's going through, I don't know. On the Juggernaut, there are some parts you could also paint fleshy. At least that is what I'm going to do. I pick out certain parts I want to look like flesh with Bugman's glow. You could of course go for an entire metal looking Juggernaut. In that case, skip this section. Now I shade the flesh with Reichland Fleshade to get some definition in the recesses. I layer on Cadian Fleshtone on the raised areas. And I layer on Kislev Flesh. I try to keep subsequent layers smaller so the previous ones still show through. I highlight the flesh with Flayed One Flesh. The deepest recesses get a shade again with Berserker Bloodshade. Do mind, I do not go over the entire flesh here. I do go over the entire flesh with Targor Rage Shade. This gives the skin a bit of a sickly look, which works very well with demonic flesh. All metal bits are base coated with Iron Warriors on both Invocatus, the Juggernaut and the Dreadnought. I shade all the metal with Vallejo Black Wash. And all the brass is base coated with Balthasar Gold. And roughly layered / highlighted with Runelord brass. There's no need to cover all the brass again entirely, just highlight. I shade all the brass with Seraphim Sepia. I highlight both the metal and brass with Canoptek Alloy, another great paint to have in your collection. The weapon coverings I paint with Black Templar. This darkens the metal, but it is still visible. The brass really helps define Invocatus armor. It's really starting to look like something now. Next, let's tackle the black armor of the Juggernaut. First, I base coat the armor with Abaddon Black. This to fix some mistakes and to darken the black just a little bit more. Next comes a series of highlights. First, I use Eshin Grey. This is a very dark gray, and it won't be super visible, but going to extreme highlights on black right away always looks very weird. The second highlight is Dawnstone. Pick out areas in the armor that would naturally be hit by light. On this armor I use a mix of edge highlighting and normal highlighting on the larger areas. Third highlight is Administratum Grey. I made these highlights smaller and smaller so it looks like the light is more focused in certain areas. With Ulthen Grey I add dots to the brightest parts of the highlight I just painted. This will sell the armor being reflective. Painting black armor has always been very difficult for me and I avoid it whenever possible. But you know, it's always good to practice. Next, I'm painting the sigils on the armor. On the GW website, they gave these a very nice, cool, glowy effect. I'm going to try to recreate this. First, I paint the sigils completely with Wild Rider Red. And shade with Carroburg Crimson. This creates the darkest colors. I'm going to build up to a nice bright yellow from here. The first highlight is a mix of Wild Rider Red and Fire Dragon Bright. I pick out the raised areas and I use the GW model as a reference. The second highlight is a mix of Fire Dragon Bright and Flesh Gitz Yellow. I keep all my highlights a little bit watered down and apply these highlights 2 or 3 times. Each time will make them a little bit more brighter and slowly I build up the gradients. Next, I highlight with a mix of Flesh Gitz Yellow and Dorn Yellow. I really keep this on the most raised areas. And finally, I highlight with Dorn Yellow, mostly focused on the extreme edges of the sigils, which are the brightest spots. Finally, I paint with a very watered down Evil Sunz Scarlet and apply this on the black armor surrounding the sigils. I built this up in a patchy way to build up the light. You could probably try to do it way smoother than me here, but I personally like the patchiness, so I just embraced it. And here we have some glowing sigils. Well, they don't look as smooth as the GW reference, but I'm actually very happy with them. They add so much to the Juggernaut, and seeing this on the tabletop really makes the model stand out. The unfortunate Dreadnought on the base will be painted as an Imperial Fist. One, because this is a great time to try out the new contrast paint Imperial Fist, and because I used to play Imperial Fist way back. This will be a fun little homage to my old army. I shade the yellow armor with Gorgontra Fur, which has been diluted with lots of contrast medium. With a dense makeup brush, I apply Uriel Yellow in a patchy way. I also cover the decals a little bit, which helps them integrate more into the armor. With a sponge, I apply Rhinox hide on the armor to create a battle damage effect. And I enhance this effect with adding Runefang steel with a sponge. And here we have Lord Invocatus, ready to lead a unit of maddened Khorne berserkers into the fray. There are a bunch of small details I painted on this model that I did not include in this video, but you can check out the Khorne berserkers video to see how I painted those details. Link is in the upper right corner. I really had a lot of fun painting this character model. Slowly but surely my World Eater's army is taking shape. For my next video, I haven't really decided what I'm going to paint, so it'll be a surprise. In the meantime, be sure to check out my Instagram, where I post pictures of current projects and behind the scenes stuff. But for now, thanks for watching.